To our right, we have a tan brick building. This is our old diamond paint store. They've converted the second floor into apartments. And next to our feed store is a newly built building. They've blended that new in with the old very nicely, following a list of colors, styles, and materials for the outside of the building. To our left-hand corner is our first bank building. It was built before the regulations were put into place. That is why it does not blend in with its surroundings very nicely. We also have our Memorial Water Garden coming up on the left. They did some of the filming for Silver Bullet at this fountain. They shot the scene where he runs around the fountain, turning into a werewolf on his first full moon. And Wilmington is known for its productions of other movies, including Domestic Disturbance with John Travolta, Firestarter with Drew Barrymore, We Are the Millers with Jennifer Aniston, Blue Velvet with Dennis Hopper, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mad Dog, The Conjuring, Iron Man 3, and many more. To our right, we have our Berglund Wright House. The Berglund Wright House was once an old jail, and when the old jail burned down, all that was left of it was the stone foundation. So Mr. Berglund put his house on top of the foundation from the old jail. You can take tours of the Berglund Wright House, and when you let them know the carriage lady sent you, they may even show you the secret dungeon they still have down below. It does also have a beautiful English garden that you can walk through on the side of the house. Coming up to our right-hand corner is our St. James Episcopal Church. It was built on a whole city block. And during the Revolutionary War, they actually housed their horses in the church parking lot next door. And there is a very cool way of telling if a building is old and original, and that is by looking at the glass. You can look to the glass on the side of the church to our right, and you'll notice that it has a wavy effect to it. This is because glass is a super cool liquid, and as it ages, it gets thicker on the bottom and thinner on top. It then begins to sag, getting that wavy appearance, and is known as ripple glass. We have a house up to our left, and it looks kind of like a castle. This home was built by John C. Taylor in the 1840s for $40,000. In today's money, that would have been equivalent to over $4 million. And it cost John C. Taylor so much money to construct his home because he used imported Swedish marble. The only mistake that John C. Taylor made was when he passed away, he did not leave a will. So his house was then auctioned off at city auction for only $500.
For $500.
To our left is the Temple of Israel.
Charlie said
One of our first
$500.
And they have stained glass windows all throughout the synagogue. We also have our first Queen Anne style home built in North Carolina on the left. People travel from all over to see this type of architecture. Now, if there was a wealthy man buried in the cemetery to our right, which tombstone do you think would be his? I would say it's this corner plot right here that has its own AC unit.
Has his own AC.
He probably didn't go to heaven if he needs that. In just a moment, you can look down to the right and the left of the trolley, and you'll notice some names on the bricks we are driving over. These are the 10 different company names that made the bricks. At one point in time, we did have all brick roads here in Wilmington, but there were some complaints that they were a little bumpy, so they went around and paved over a lot of them. Now, each year they do choose several different roads to remove the blacktop from the top of the brick to give us more of the original 1800s look. Up to our right, you can see our tallest structure in Wilmington. And believe it or not, that tiny rooster vane on top is 5.5 feet tall. Coming up on our left is the French house. This is one of our 16 inns and bed and breakfasts that we have here in Wilmington. Coming up on the right is house number 108. You can see the house number in the glass above the front door. Before porch lamps and electricity, a small amount of light from the inside of the home would illuminate this glass pane so you could see what house number you were at. On the left, we have a blue house. You can look to their front porch to see their original double-door entrance. A lot of homes were built with double-door entrances to help ventilate the house with a cross breeze. And so you could also move large furniture in and out of the house, such as armoires, organs, pianos, and caskets. Because back then we did not have funeral parlors, you held your funeral in the parlor. So you had to be able to get the casket through the front door. To our right, you can look up to the porch roofs to see their 100-year-old hand-cut slate shingles. And down on the curb side to our right, you can see an original carriage step with 3 stepping stones after it. This is where the horse and carriage would have pulled up, so the ladies wearing their big antebellum dresses were able to step out and avoid the dirt road. In the plot of land to our right, there was once a house here. A Reverend Wilson and his little boy Tommy lived in this house for 11.5 years, until the house did burn down. Now, believe it or not, that little boy Tommy grew up to be President Woodrow Wilson. In the corner plot to our right, there was once a famous lady that lived there. She posed in a
Orange
painting
Street.
wearing a black dress and a white bonnet, sitting sideways in a chair.
Hey, look, Daddy.
It was the
Orange
Whistler's
Street.
mother, and her name was Anna McNeil. We do have other famous people that have originated from Wilmington, including newscaster Charles Perrault, wrestlers Sugar Ray Leonard and Bone Crusher Smith. We also have Sammy Jurgensen and Michael Jordan. And we can't forget about country western singer Charlie Daniels. Bless you. The blue house on our left, they are currently renovating. They've recently painted the bottom half of the house and they're now making their way up to the top half. It is amazing to see what they are doing with these old historic homes. We also have another house on our left where they are currently renovating. They have recently finished painting the outside of the house and they're now making their way to the inside of the house. You can also look through this carriageway on our left to see an original carriage house. This is where the horse and carriage would have stayed, and the stable boy would have lived up on the second floor. During the Civil War in the 1800s, they went around this area and collected a lot of the iron to melt down into cannonballs. And that would have included your iron fences. On our left, you can see some of the replica ironwork they have put up in place of their original. And we do have a very cool story about our 5th Avenue we are crossing onto. So we have a 2nd Street, a 3rd Street, a 4th Street, but no 5th Street. One summer, the mayor of the city and his wife took a trip to New York City. The mayor's wife fell in love with 5th Avenue in New York so much that when she got home, she demanded she have one of her own. So her husband, the mayor of Wilmington, changed the name of 5th Street to 5th Ave to please his wife. In the center of the roadway on our left, we have an original trolley stop. There would have been cast iron rails on either side of the trolley stop, and the conductor would have been driving a cast iron trolley pulled by one standard red horse. Today we use an aluminum replica pulled by 2 strong draft horses. And whenever the conductor needed to give his horse some water, he would pull the horse over to this original water trough on our left. There would have been pumps on either side of the water trough for the conductor to pump water into. He would have pulled his horse over, given it a drink, and then continued on their trip. The gray house to our left has a black plaque on the front porch. The black plaque means the home is 100 to 150 years old when the plaque is put up. And hanging down from the trees on our right and on our left is the Spanish moss. The Spanish moss is not a parasite and it does not harm the tree. It is an air plant. It survives off of the moisture in the air. It is a member of the pineapple family. The blue house to our right has a brown plaque on the front porch. The brown plaque means the home is 75 to 100 years old when the plaque is put up. The yellow house on our left, you can look to their front porch and you'll notice that they have a staircase on either side. When the ladies wore their big antebellum dresses, they would have been unable to pass by each other going up and down the stairs at the same time. So common courtesy was you would